A human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, San Femi Falana, has confronted presidential candidates of major political parties about the fact that they are yet to tell Nigerian voters how they will end extrajudicial killings in the country if elected to power. Nigerian news gathered that Falana said even though flag bearers of these major parties have come out to condemn the brutal killing of the Lagos lawyer, Bolanle Rahim, who was shot by a police officer in Ajah on Christmas Day. Falana's challenge comes even as he also condemned the killing of Rahim, saying the presidential candidates have condemned the incident, but they are yet to inform the masses how they will decisively tackle killings by security operatives should they be voted into office. Rahim's gruesome murder had sparked lots of reactions and condolences from various quarters, including that of the presidency and major camps of political parties. However, the rights lawyer in a statement said President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed shock and complete disapproval of the horrendous killing, even though it is a common phenomenon under his administration. In the same vein, the presidential candidates of the leading political parties have berated the Nigerian police force over the killing. It is, however, curious to note that these political leaders have not informed Nigerian voters how they intend to end the extrajudicial killing of unarmed citizens by the police and other security agencies in the country if they win the 2023 presidential election. The Nigerian Bar Association has also condemned the brutal killing of one of its members, Mrs. Bolanle Rahim, in Lagos on December 24, 2022 by a trigger-happy policeman. The suspect has been arrested and detained pending his arraignment for murder in the Lagos State High Court. The Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Akali Baba, and Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, have decried the killing and assured the Nigerian people that justice will be served speedily. To demonstrate the abhorrence of the government, the Attorney General of Lagos State, Mr. Č0NFŻ0ÑJ San, will lead the prosecution team. President Muhammadu Buhari also expressed shock and complete disapproval of the horrendous killings, even though it is a common phenomenon under his administration. In the same vein, the presidential candidates of the leading political parties have berated the Nigerian police force over the killing. It is, however, curious to note that these political leaders have not informed Nigerian voters how they intend to end the extrajudicial killing of unarmed citizens by the police and other security agencies in the country if they win the 2023 presidential election. The cruel killing of Mrs. Bolanle Rahim provides an opportunity for the Nigerian people, led by lawyers, to address the root cause of the extrajudicial killing of unarmed citizens by law enforcement officers. On July 15, 1981, Dele Udo, a United States-based athlete and a potential world beater in the 400-meter, was shot dead by a trigger-happy policeman at Ojuelegba in Lagos State. That was the beginning of the reckless shooting of unarmed citizens by armed policemen and armed soldiers on the road. Since then, hundreds of young people and other citizens have been killed in illegal checkpoints manned by drunk police and military personnel. The huge amount of money extorted from motorists via the checkpoints is allegedly shared by police and the military officers. Hence, the cancellation of checkpoints by successive Inspector General of Police have never been faithfully enforced. It is pertinent to note that despite the demand of the human rights community for fundamental reform of the curriculum of the police academy, the training of police cadets has remained as brutish as it was under the British colonial regime. Upon their graduation, the recruits usually unleash violence on a society that had dehumanized them in the police academy. Having been brutalized themselves, they derive pleasure in subjecting suspects to physical, mental, and psychological torture. During the interrogation of a suspect, it is not uncommon for a policeman to threaten that "I will kill you and nothing will happen." No doubt, the Nigerian police force is a neo-colonial institution in every material particular. It is deliberately called a police force and not a police department or police service. The logo of the force pictures an eagle standing on two crossed staffs above an elephant. Like an elephant, the colonial police force was set up to mow them down, the natives, suppress and extort taxes from them to service British imperialism. In 1960, the nationalist politicians who inherited political power from the British colonial regime decided to retain the police force and use it to oppress the people. Hence, the killing of unarmed citizens by police and military personnel is not punished by the violent neo-colonial state. Even monetary damages awarded by courts for unlawful killings of citizens and other forms of human rights abuse by the police officers are never paid. Indeed, the payment of monetary damages awarded by courts is frustrated by attorney generals who refuse to grant leave to garnish the accounts of the federal and state governments. As if that is not bad enough, some attorneys general file non-prosequi applications to terminate criminal cases involving highly connected murder suspects. The legal department of the police is ever prepared to defend the unlawful killing of citizens by trigger-happy police personnel. Thus, the police personnel indicted for extrajudicial killings are promoted until they retire, while a few of them had risen to the highest echelon in the force. Whenever there are protests against the unlawful killing of citizens by police personnel, the government moves to douse tension by setting up judicial or administrative commissions of inquiry to probe the remote and immediate cause of the civil disturbance, but the recommendations of such panel are usually ignored by the government. For instance, after the NSAS protests in October 2020, the federal government and 28 out of the 36 state governments instituted judicial commissions of inquiry to probe various allegations of police brutality. After 2 years, the reports of the judicial panel have not been published by the majority of the state governments. The few that issued white papers have not fully implemented the recommendations of the judicial panels. Apart from payment of some monetary damages, the police officers indicted by the panel have not been prosecuted. Consequently, the brutalization of the Nigerian people by the police and other security agencies has continued unabated. Even though the notorious Special Anti-Robbery Squad SARS was disbanded in line with the demands of the #EndSARS protesters, in replacing the SARS with SWAT, the authorities promised that the operatives would undergo a retraining program. As the retraining did not occur, the SWAT officers have continued to terrorize and intimidate the people unabashedly, like the SARS. The implication of such official impunity is that the very many police officers indicted for extrajudicial killing of suspects and other citizens have been allowed to remain in the police force to continue to perpetuate their nefarious activities. Not too long ago, thousands of professional armed robbers and armed political thugs bribed and were recruited to the Nigerian police force. When a former president became aware of the scandalous recruitment, he ordered that the ununiformed armed robbers be identified and flushed out of the police. It is regrettable to note that the police authorities did try to do so, but did not succeed in weeding out all the criminal elements from the police force. On a regular basis, kidnap, murder, and terror suspects are paraded by police commissioners, but majority of the suspects are extrajudicially executed after the parade. The police claim that those who were charged with grave offenses before the High Court in the past and who were freed on technical grounds turned around to attack and kill the police officers who had arrested them. So instead of prosecuting armed robbers and other dangerous criminal suspects, they are extrajudicially killed by untrained executioners in the force. The suspects are usually shot in the back to give the impression that they were trying to escape from police custody. Thus, it is difficult to sue the Police Service Commission for the illegal killing of suspects that have been wasted by the police. After the execution, no post-mortem is conducted while the bodies of the deceased are buried by the police at night. The money and other assets seized from the suspects are never returned to the family members or friends of the deceased, but shared among the police officers. Without any rehabilitation for the untrained executioners, they are unleashed on the society with their guns. The ununiformed murderers then turn round to use their weapons to kill members of the public, including their own relations. Thus, the brutal killing of poor citizens by police and other security operatives have become a routine occurrence. But we only complain whenever the unlicensed police executioners kill lawyers, doctors, journalists, and other victims whose killings trigger protests. In Femi Falana versus Chief of Army Staff and suit number FHC/L/CS/1939/19, the presiding judge, the Honorable Č0NFŻ0ÑJ declared that the involvement of armed soldiers in the maintenance of internal security is illegal and unconstitutional. On the basis of the judgment, all checkpoints manned by soldiers should be dismantled by the Chief of Army Staff without any further delay. In the recent case of the State Security Service versus Godwin Emefiele, suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/2255/2022, the Federal High Court assigned and determined the case within 2 days because it pertained to the personal liberty of the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The NBA leadership should prevail on the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court and heads of other courts to ensure that all fundamental rights cases are promptly assigned and expeditiously determined regardless of the class status of the applicant.